and they still leave the place a mess. They still have homeless people everywhere. It's still a disaster. It's still a woke show of virtue signaling at every level of the government. Still. Like, no course correction at all. They're going further and further into la-la land. And you're like, Jesus Christ, you guys. And so then a place like Austin becomes attractive.
Joe Rogan and California Governor Gavin Newsom remain locked in a heated feud, and Rogan shows no signs of backing off. The outspoken comedian, UFC commentator, and hugely influential podcast host continues to hammer away, insisting that Newsom's leadership is sending California into deeper chaos. According to Rogan, the governor's policies are piling pressure on everyday residents, with problems spilling across every corner of the state, from steep taxes and suffocating rules to rising homelessness and crime. He warns that if Newsom isn't challenged, California's decline won't just persist. It could spark a crisis with consequences far beyond its borders.
That was the real problem. I didn't realize it till I left.
What?
That everybody's too busy tapping themselves on the back.
There's a lot of that.
When the fires happened, those 3 women or whatever, the chief and whatever, I'm looking at them and I'm like, look at them.
Yeah.
They all got gel in their hair. They all got a tattoo on their neck. God forbid they can't be cool for just 1 minute. God forbid. And that's the problem you have out there.
Joe Rogan didn't hold back during a fiery, unfiltered episode of his hugely followed show, turning his attention squarely on Governor Gavin Newsom. He accused Newsom of fueling California's growing turmoil while sharply criticizing what he described as the governor's far-fetched ambitions for the presidency. Rogan took aim at Newsom's record on homelessness, rising crime, and failed programs, warning that the real danger lies not only in California's decline, but also in what could happen if those same policies were carried onto the national stage. And as always, make sure to subscribe, stay tuned for updates, and join the conversation as this story continues to unfold.
Also, there's places that sort of rest on their laurels too much. And whenever that happens, it's easy for another place to rise up that offers something more interesting. So like Los Angeles was always Los Angeles. And like when Gavin Newsom talks about California, it's like, I'm very big on California, very bullish on California. California has all this industry. Hey, they're all thinking about moving.
They're gone.
The only reason why they don't move is because it's too difficult to move.
Rogan's argument hits home. California is watching families, entrepreneurs, and even major corporations pack up and leave. And the reasons aren't hard to figure out. What was once called the Golden State is now losing its shine. Streets are dirtier, violence is climbing, and headlines are filled with stories of smash and grabs, sprawling homeless camps, and neighborhoods on edge. On top of that, taxes keep climbing, squeezing hardworking residents while giving them less and less in return. Then there's California's notorious red tape. An endless maze of rules and regulations chokes businesses before they can even get started. It's no wonder so many are heading for Texas, Florida, or Nevada, chasing a better shot at success. The state's unraveling isn't just unfortunate, it's a glaring billboard flashing the consequences of failed leadership.
If it was like every business could instantly pull up roots and replace everything and have everything running in a week at the other place, they'd all be gone. It's too expensive. It's too expensive to leave versus what you would save and the regulations that you wouldn't have to go through and all the bullshit with all the permits and all that. What California does is over-regulate everything. They get as much government involved as possible. They suck as much tax money out of you as possible.
In the end, Rogan himself packed up and left California, the very state he once proudly called home. And he wasn't the only one. High-profile conservatives like Ben Shapiro and the entire Daily Wire team also departed, arguing that the environment had turned hostile toward both personal freedom and business. But the exodus reaches far beyond media figures. Even Hollywood, the industry that built California's global reputation, is feeling the strain. Productions that once flocked to Los Angeles are now shifting to Georgia, Texas, or even overseas, where lower taxes, safer streets, and fewer restrictions give creativity room to thrive. When the world's entertainment capital begins losing its own talent and resources, The decline becomes impossible to deny. No matter how politicians try to spin it, the steady stream of people and businesses leaving paints the truest picture of California today.
Nobody wants President Newsom either. Nobody believes in that guy. That guy's a con man. Everything he did in California, from trying to mandate vaccines for kids to being caught public without a mask and lying about the fact that he was outdoors.
Yeah.
Nobody believes in that guy. He's just a politician, just a stone cold, narrative driven politician.
Rogan hasn't let up on Gavin Newsom, this time zeroing in on what he calls California's obsession with woke theater. A few years back, lawmakers proudly pushed through a baffling rule forcing department stores with over 500 employees to set up gender-neutral toy aisles, apparently the state's most urgent crisis. And if that wasn't strange enough, another bill gave children the right to hide plans to leave their parents, sidestepping families entirely in decisions that should be personal and serious. To Rogan, these aren't just quirky policies, they're part of a much bigger pattern where ideology is elevated over common sense and the government insists on micromanaging daily life. For countless families and businesses, it feels less like freedom and more like being caught in a state-run social experiment. Unsurprisingly, people are voting with their feet, fleeing to places that prioritize prosperity, opportunity, and safety over symbolic laws that drive people out of what was once the Golden State.
People are very reasonable. And Austin, the best thing about Austin is it's a blue city in a red state. So it's like balanced. Like, this is a saying they have out here: keep Austin weird and surrounded. So Austin is surrounded by rednecks with guns, and like it keeps the tone more medium. Like the Austin liberals, they're much more just left of center people, like we are. You know what I mean?
Austin makes for an eye-opening comparison to California. Sure, the city leans left, no one's denying that. But here's the crucial distinction. Austin hasn't plunged into the kind of extreme, overreaching woke experiments that have pushed California into chaos. Instead, it manages to balance progressive values with reason and practicality. In Austin, lawmakers aren't busy forcing strange social rules or burying businesses under endless taxes and red tape. The city has positioned itself as a thriving hub of culture, technology, and creativity, drawing in entrepreneurs and innovators, many of whom might once have chosen California. It's proof that you can embrace liberal ideals without sliding into the kind of theatrical policies that strangle growth. That's why Austin is flourishing while California's citizens and companies continue to struggle. In short, Austin shows that you can be forward-thinking without wrecking your state with the kind of excess Gavin Newsom has turned into California's trademark.
Everybody's too busy tapping themselves on the back.
There's a lot of that.
When the fires happened, those 3 women or whatever, the chief and whatever, I'm looking at them and I'm like, look at them.
Yeah.
They all got gel in their hair. They all got a tattoo on their neck. God forbid they can't be cool for just 1 minute. God forbid. And that's the problem you have out there. It's too many people. I'm so great. This is my idea, and it's great, and it's going to work. It's not working. I say, you know what? This ain't working. Their egos are so big, they don't have the heart to go, this ain't working.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Comedian Joey Diaz didn't hold back when blasting Gavin Newsom and Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass over their handling of the Palisades fires. True to his no-nonsense style, Diaz cut straight through the political theater, accusing California's so-called leaders of caring more about their image than the safety of the very people they're supposed to protect. According to Diaz, while families scrambled to save their homes and belongings, Newsom and Bass seemed fixated on photo ops, press briefings, and surface-level optics. For him, it was a clear snapshot of a ruling class obsessed with appearances and completely disconnected from the communities they claim to serve. His fiery critique struck a chord with countless residents who feel abandoned by politicians who talk endlessly about compassion, but vanish when action is needed most. To Diaz, this wasn't just another rant or punchline, it was a raw reminder of the painful reality Californians face when leadership chooses showmanship over responsibility.
This is my idea, and it's great, and it's going to work. It's not working.
You're right.
But you're too stupid. I say, you know what? This ain't working. Their egos are so big, they don't have the heart to go, this ain't working.
You're right. You're absolutely right. But I don't think it's entirely their fault. It is their fault, but the culture rewards that kind of behavior. This is the problem with having protected classes of people.
Gavin Newsom often talks as though he's making progress on California's homelessness crisis, but the reality tells a different story. Instead of real solutions, he leans on polished rhetoric while the streets spiral further out of control. In doing so, he's managed to turn homelessness into a kind of untouchable protected class, says, shielded by words rather than helped by action.
Something along those lines. But the idea is that this group of people, whether they're trans people or gay people, they get above everything. Everything you do is amazing. Oh my God, you're so fabulous. Because no one wants to be thought of as homophobic or transphobic. So you pretend that everything they do is incredible. And so you're going to be the best firefighter ever. Like, can you carry a burning man out of a building? Girl, you don't have to. If he was in that building, he shouldn't have been in that building in the first place. If I have to carry him out, we got other problems. A literal firefighter said that in response to, could she carry her husband out of the building?
The hard truths about the behaviors and circumstances that often lead to homelessness are brushed aside, while any criticism of the policies fueling the crisis is quickly silenced. Instead of fostering responsibility, California has doubled down on a culture of entitlement, pouring endless streams of taxpayer money into programs that remove accountability. Predictably, homelessness has surged, spilling across parks, sidewalks, and underpasses in nearly every city. Sacramento clings to the notion that if you lose everything, the state will swoop in and provide, leaving fewer people with the incentive to safeguard their future or make sound decisions. What could have been a heartfelt call for compassion has morphed into a handbook for dependency. And now, Gavin Newsom's social experiment is exacting a heavy price from everyday Californians.
You shouldn't be a firefighter if you can't carry someone out of a building. If you can't run up a flight of stairs because you're 260 pounds and 5'7" and a woman. No, you shouldn't be a firefighter. You should have to be in like really good shape to be now, if you're some CrossFit's game lady who's some beast, I'm like, yeah, that lady could be a firefighter.
Raw physical strength has always been a cornerstone of firefighting. It's the ability to lift, carry, or drag someone who is unconscious out of a life-threatening situation. When disaster strikes, people don't magically weigh less, and flames don't pause until the moment is convenient. This isn't a critique of women who serve in the field or those who hope to. It's simply reality. Firefighting demands more than bravery or dedication alone. It requires the power to haul heavy gear, push through smoke and heat, and pull adults to safety while buildings may be crumbling around you. In these moments, there is no substitute for strength. No amount of political correctness or watered-down standards can change the fact that lives are at stake. In the end, what separates those truly fit for the job is not quotas or appearances, but the mix of skill and physical power needed to keep the public safe. The DNC has mastered the art of forcing square pegs into round holes, placing people in leadership roles they are clearly unfit for, all in service of woke DEI quotas. Box checking and virtue signaling now take precedence over competence, and the cost is paid by the public. The results are impossible to ignore. Doctors more focused on parroting political correctness than prescribing life-saving treatments. Pilots celebrated for diversity photo ops but unreliable in an emergency landing. Politicians who can recite talking points flawlessly but crumble when confronted with real problems that demand real solutions. It's a society turned upside down, where appearance is valued over ability and ideology is placed above facts. And while the Democratic National Committee pats itself on the back for its inclusive agenda, ordinary Americans are stuck with leaders and experts who can't do the jobs they were chosen to do.
Even guys. Like, if you're a guy and you're and scrawny and you never work out and all you do is smoke cigarettes, maybe you shouldn't be a firefighter. You know, maybe you can't get up that flight of stairs either. It should be like, it's a physical job where you're rescuing people. You have to be able to physically carry people. You have to rescue them. Firefighters, when I was a kid, were the big, brutal men.
Kicking down doors.
In houses. They looked like former football players. There was this guy I used to play pool with, Ray the Fireman, because everybody in the pool hall, I was Joe the Comedian. Everybody had a nickname based on what you did. Ray the Fireman was in the house. He was just this big Irish guy.
This principle matters most in professions where the stakes are life and death, roles where incompetence is simply not an option. Skill, knowledge, and rigorous training must always come first, regardless of background, gender, or nationality. Think of surgeons. One slip in the operating room can cost a life. Or pilots. When an engine fails at 30,000 feet, nobody cares about diversity quotas. All that matters is having the most experienced, reliable hands at the controls. The same applies to nuclear engineers overseeing facilities where even the smallest error could trigger catastrophe, or military commanders whose decisions determine whether soldiers live or die. In these arenas, lowering standards to satisfy political goals isn't just misguided, it's deadly. It disrespects the work of true experts and places innocent people in harm's way. Merit, talent, and intelligence must remain the foundation. California under Gavin Newsom is a case study in what happens when woke ideology and DEI-driven incompetence take over, rising homelessness, endless bureaucracy, collapsing industries, and leaders unfit for their roles. This is the result of political theater replacing genuine ability. America doesn't need more rushed experiments or empty gestures. It needs leaders chosen for vision, competence, and character. That's it for today's video. If you value this kind of unfiltered analysis, don't forget to hit like and subscribe for more straight talk.